Now, I have a young man here that begged me he wanted to give his testimony. He begged me. But I want you to hear his testimony. God's really done a work in his life.
I was really reluctant to come up here because my number one fear is speaking in front of people. And I just feel it's really something I need to do. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my life before I found God. And you'd think I had it all. I mean, if you're looking from the outside in, I had money, I had a good job, I had a nice house, I had lots of girls, I had anything that you could think that I had. But really, I didn't have anything because I didn't have God. And I always had an emptiness in my heart. And I didn't know how to fill it, and I filled it with all these other things. I thought, I'll get a nicer car and get this. I can meet more gals or whatever it is. It never got filled. It just was a quick fix. And you're never going to fix that until you have God in your life. And once I was saved and I was in God's grace, I just started feeling it in my heart. And I didn't need all those other things because I had Him. And even those things that I did get even meant that much more because it was from God. And I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit of how He started coming into my life. And it basically first started with meeting my lovely wife. And I met her, and she told me, she had been married before and had kids, and I was kind of going, well, I know that's not what I want. So I kept resisting, and something kept pushing me that way, and I just, as we went, we were dating, and it was like I was on the sidelines, and my body was an autopilot. I was just going along with it, and I was going along there, and I was like, come on, Tom, what are you thinking? You're getting in deep here. And she is she's the most beautiful person I've ever met. And I thought I'd say that because I get some brownie points today. But it's really true. She is. And we kept dating. We met in the summertime, and that winter I had shoulder surgery, so it kind of gave me a perfect opportunity to come to her house. She lived in Prescott. I lived in Maple Grove. And I went there and had the surgery, and she was kind of going to take care of me. And, you sit around the house after having surgery, and there's nothing to do. And she's like, you should start reading some books. And for me, that's punishment. If you could have me go read a book in a corner or something, that's punishment. So I started reading books, and she gave me some inspirational books, and I started reading, and I was just feeling things, just things were starting to shift. And I was thinking, geez, I don't know what kind of drugs they gave me for the shoulder, but these are feeling pretty all right. But I really got into, reading these books and spent a lot of time doing that. And while I was there, I got to spend time with the kids, and, they're really great kids, and really got to know each other. And through this time, I actually started having some dreams, some very vivid dreams. And they were about my brother who was getting hurt at work. And I'd wake up and I'd just feel horrible inside, like it was so real. And he was actually working with my sister in Duluth on the lift bridge, so I'd call her up, and I'd just say, hey, I'm just having these dreams, and they seem so real, just keep an eye on them. And she said, okay. Well, I kept having them, and then I talked to my wife about it. She said, I just feel something big's going to happen, And as time went on, I started getting healthier, and I was getting ready to go back to work. And at that time, we put our house on the market. We decided to move in together. And I came back to work on that Monday, and on that Saturday, my brother was in an accident at work, and he had been crushed. And so we went down to the hospital to see him, and we're hanging out with him. And there's no help for him. He was on life support. And a couple days that we were there, I wanted to go out and see the bridge where he was at and where it happened. And we went to the bridge, and when I walked in there to see where it happened at, I realized that was exactly what I had dreamt. God had put those dreams, had me have those dreams for a reason. And I believe that it was to prepare me mentally and emotionally for what was about to happen following up to this, or even up to it and after what was about to happen. And he died a couple days later, and we came back, and we actually drove back to the cities, and we were going to get ready for his funeral, and we were going to have my son sing. And he goes, well, he wanted an acoustic guitar player to play with him. And so I called my mom, and I said, hey, Evan's going to sing, and we need an acoustic guitar player. And she goes, well, we got Lori Risperud from our church that I went to. And I was like, oh, that's great. But something just came into my head. I don't know. It was obviously from God, because I'm like, hey, what about that guy? He's kind of hairy. And I think Darren did some kind of classes with them, or with them guys or something. And she goes, well, Stan Belgard? And I was like, well, that's him. Yeah. I never had met Stan and Sherry. And she goes, well, I'll give you their number. And I said, okay. So I called and left them a message. And then after a while, they called me back, and we were able to meet. And that was the first part that actually led us to this church. That's where God started working. And they said, too, they were actually going on vacation or whatever, and they had to stop by the house for something. And they saw my message there, so they listened to it, and then they're like, well, we're not going on vacation now. So God was really working there. And, well, after that, we kind of got a bond there. Well, things kind of went back, and I went to work. And Stan and Sherry asked Evan to come out here and sing. So he did, and Shar came back and said, oh, that church is just phenomenal.
Say that.
Phenomenal. So I was like, well, okay, whatever. So we got back to cities, and at this time my brother had just bought a house 7 months before he was killed, and my parents didn't know what to do with it. They had 6 months probate until they had to decide what they were going to do. And we had talked, maybe all buying it together as like a summer home or something, but none of us had the money, and we didn't want to do that. So they kind of didn't want to let it go, but we had till January to figure it out. Well, later in the summer, we kind of came up with, the option that we should buy. We should move up here and buy that house, move the family up here. It just seemed like the right thing to do. So, and at this whole time, we had Shar's house on the market. It was getting nothing. And this is the beginning of September, so I put my house on the market. And it's not a good market to be in. And I put my house on, and we were just praying that it would all work out. And we needed to sell those 2 houses before we could buy that house, and we had to do it by January 1st. And it was going to be the middle of October, and nothing was happening on either house. And we were going, oh my gosh, but we just felt that something was going to happen. So my dad called me up, and he wanted to go elk hunting. He just said, I just got to get out and walk in the woods. I said, all right. So my brother and I and him went, just kind of on a whim. And I was up in the mountain, and we hunted that morning, and I was going to get ready to walk back to camp. And I was just sat there in an opening, and I just sat there, and I prayed, and I prayed about selling our house, about shooting a bull, all kinds of things. And I just said, I was like, God, which direction do you want me to go? Do you want me to go left down the mountain to camp, or do you want me to go right? So something just pushed me. He said, go to the right. So I got up, and I working my way down the mountain to the right, and I jumped a bull, and I shot a night bull. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Really? So we packed it out and got it back, and we're kind of celebrating. So I decided I was going to call my wife, see how she was doing, and tell her that I shot a bull. And I went up this road, and I was talking to her on the phone, and she's like, I got some news. She's like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And at the same time, I got a text coming in. So I got a text that says, you got an offer on your house. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm going, oh, what do I do? So I'm like, so I had to let her go, and this guy wanted to buy it now. So we actually went down the mountain the next morning, faxed the papers from in Colorado back to the cities, and I sold my house. So we came back, and I started moving. And a week later, Shar sold her house. amazing. So we were able to move up here, and we came up and we got all settled in and everything, and the kids adjusted to the school well and all the people. And once we got settled in, we kind of, we wanted to find a church. So we started had a list of churches that I wanted to try. And we were trying every church we went to. I just said, we left and we're like, this wasn't for me. It just didn't quite cut it. And then we got to the last church, and we went there and we left, and I was going, gosh, that wasn't it either. So she goes, I'm telling you, there's a country Bible church. You got to try it. And I'm like, they're crazy out there. They do crazy things. That's all I heard. But I'll get to that, And so I was like, I'll give it a try. So I came out here the first Sunday, and I was like, it's pretty good. And I came back again, and I was like, geez, it really is. This is the place we need to be in. People were right by saying that you are crazy out here because you're crazy passion for God, and that's really what it's all about. So I just want to thank all of you guys for everything. Thank you.